Greeting here, Don Galenqua is my Mohawk name. Chief Joseph, Hinmatoo Yalatkit, powerful peacemaker, prophet, and patriot chief of the Nez Perce Indians. First off, I want to say that the spirit of Chief Joseph, Hinmatoo Yalatkit, has lived inside me since I was a very, very, very young boy. And in public school, like many of us on Turtle Island here in Kanatakan or Canada and America, we studied the life and history of Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce Indians in public school and in high school. And here is my hope that we continue to study the lives of these great patriot chiefs, these native spiritual masters, for many, many, many centuries to come. Now, whereas at the time of Chief Joseph, which was March the 3rd, 1840, he was born in southeastern Oregon in a cave, actually, that I've been to at Joseph Creek. It's in the Wallowa Valley. And he passed into spirit on September 21st, 1904. And his large gravestone marker is in Nespelem on the Colville Reservation in the state of Washington, south of British Columbia, here where we are today in Victoria, Canada. Now, what we can learn about the life of Chief Joseph and take with us in our hearts and bring home to ourselves and give us courage, love, hope, inspiration, and above all, hope and honesty, is the fact that although the president, who was alive at the time, and all the anthropologists and photographers and the missionaries of the Christian churches are long forgotten from the 1800s and the early 1900s, the memory and the consciousness of Chief Joseph lives on and will live on for centuries to come. Now, why is this? In fact, we know so much about him, and I have read every single book in text of the photographers, Curtis and other ones, Moorhead and so on, all the anthropologists. Of course, as you know, I'm an anthropologist myself and taught Native Studies at the University of Toronto. And all of the other military men, General Miles, and all these names of these people are long forgotten, and the name of Chief Joseph will last for eternity. And so why is this, I ask again? It has to do with character. It has to do with perseverance and patience. And it has to do with how one treats oneself, one's own tribe and people, all our relations, Mitakuyo Yasin, and of course, all peoples on the earth. In a short while in this video, I will be reading you some of the actual words of Chief Joseph. So I'm only going to impart to you some of the historical facts that are pertinent to the life of Chief Joseph and, of course, the Nez Perce Indians. Just an aside note here, the actual reservation of the Nez Perce today, which is in the state of Washington and somewhat in Oregon and even a bit in Idaho, they have been considerate of all our relations, in particular the wolf population, and brought them back to a high degree on their own land and territory of the Nez Perce Indians. Well, as I said, Chief Joseph was born on March the 3rd in 1840 in a cave. This is starting to sound spiritually familiar to those of you who understand the great heroes and leaders who were born in other places of the world at other times in similar situations. Chief Joseph's father is called still Old Joseph, and he was a great leader in chief in that time. and was unfortunate enough, shall we say, to be part of the westward movement of the white people along the Oregon Trail into what was then known in the late 1800s as the Oregon Territory. He was proselytized by a Presbyterian pastor and his wife, and then forsook that religion, the Christian religion, when he realized that not necessarily the pastor and his wife, but the people, the white people coming westward, were not to be trusted. They were lying and cheating and treacherous, and not a word of what was being said or written or signed as a document or a treaty could be relied upon. Now, if you know enough of Native history in North America for 500 years, and this is definitely worth studying, it's what I used to teach as a professor of Native studies, that you realize that this is a pattern here. This is an unfortunate pattern for, shall we say, all the people, not only the people who were murdered, had war brought upon them, uh, um, felled by smallpox and other things, and mostly just by the forked tongue of a treachery of a religion that unfortunately was two-sided. It was about a land grab. It was about a destruction of culture, destruction of the native spirituality, language, way of life, sweat lodges, and all of this and more. Now, when Joseph, the younger, shall we say, was born in 1840, he grew up watching all this going on between his father, old Joseph, and also the wayward, westward, oh, I guess that was a slip of the tongue there, movement of the white people who were taking over all his land and territory and destroying their way of life and the animals around them as well. Joseph, early on in his teen years, learned to be a very peaceful pacifier in the way of trying to be patient with people, be pleasant with people. He was very much a shrewd negotiator, and he was a good judge of character. And people generally liked him very much because he was soft spoken and kind and honorable and noble, if you like. He was not like some of the other great native war chiefs who didn't spend all the time to listen to the white people. Chief Joseph did, Hinmatoo Yalatkit did listen to people and gave them as much leeway and a sense of understanding as was possible for the situation of the times. However, things got worse and worse. There were many, many incidents year after year after year, up until 1877, when Joseph was then 37 years of age. Over these 37 years, and his father had passed over into spirit, there was more encroachment, more taking and just abuse of the land and taking of the land and of the animals and the forests and the minerals and the waters and so on, and a greater and greater population of the white people coming onto the territory in the Wallowa Valley in southeastern Oregon. Now, I myself have been there when I was in my teens, and actually just 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, I did go there again. And I've been to the grave marker in the Wallowa Valley where old Joseph is buried, and I've been to, as I said, the cave where Chief Joseph was born, and I've been to the Umatilla Reservation there where the combined remaining tribes are in Pendleton, Oregon, and I've been in the Washington State area before as well, in Nespelem and the Colville Reservation. So this is a part of the world and a culture that I'm very fond of, and I think it's an important kind of marker for us here in the planet today, for all the peoples. It's an important turning point, and the goal of this video is to inspire you to, like Chief Joseph, be a peacemaker, be a profound, open-hearted prophet, and to be a patriot in the true sense of patriot, which means honesty and openness, and a chief or a leader and a visionary in your own community, wherever you are, And as I've said before, everyone is native to the earth. We must all come together as one sisterhood and brotherhood. Back to the story of Chief Joseph and his people. After many trials and tribulations, and after just one more lie and one more broken promise and one more broken treaty between the Nez Perce and the President of the United States and General Miles and others as well, Chief Joseph decided, because much of his land had been taken away falsely, though it had been promised to him, he decided to move his whole band of elders, women, children, mothers, fathers, and war chiefs, and all the children and the animals, as many as they could take. Of course, they were on horses, to fly across the medicine line, we call it, which is the 49th parallel that separates America and Canada still today. And Sitting Bull had crossed the medicine line earlier. Chief Joseph, who was a military strategist, very profoundly at the level of Alexander the Great or Sitting Bull or any of the others, a profound military strategist, took all his people through a series of battles from Idaho all the way up to just south of the boundary, south of Alberta. In 1877, though, after so many of his people had been killed through battles with the American militia and cavalry, and many of them had died of sickness and exhaustion and lack of food and so on, he was only 2 miles away from the Alberta border, and he didn't know that he was only that close because Looking Glass, Tuhol Tosi, had gone forward and was killed and wasn't able to return to show Chief Joseph that they were very, very close. It was the middle of a wintry snowstorm, and surrounded by militia up around the hills on all sides of them, Chief Joseph surrendered. And these are the very famous words that he said when he surrendered to the military man from the cavalry. He said, "From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever." Well, forever is a word that we're going to come back to in a few moments. And I'd like to point out also that the Nez Perce name of Chief Joseph means thunder rolling down from the mountains. That sounds great, and it's a good image because it's something that you can hold to today as you move forward in your own sense of self-realization and creating freedom for yourself. If there's one message we can gain from the life of Chief Joseph and what he's done for his people, it's the ongoing ability and hope and determination for freedom, for self-determination, which has been the one goal and action taken by all the First Nations over 500 years here on Turtle Island. And we are idle no more. When, through his calmness and his charm and his responsiveness, he was taken back to prison, if you like, on his land, back on a very small, much beleaguered and smaller land that was finally given to the people in Oregon and also a bit in Washington state. Then he spent the rest of his life there just trying to negotiate with the governments and the local people for responsiveness in the sense of freedom from racism and prejudice and just ill will and greed and selfishness on the part of the non-natives. Twice he went to Washington, D.C., once with Yellow Bull to be with what was called then the Great Father, the President of America, and nothing came of it. And again, there were all these broken promises and treaties. Now, so for the rest of his life, from 1877 to 1904, Chief Joseph stayed more or less on his reservation, traveled around a little bit, but he was trying to do the very best for his people and carried on in a very sad way. Many of his wife and some of his children and grandchildren died during the wars, the battles that I mentioned in 1877, and of course, many of them died of sickness and ill health and just depression through the late 1880s and 1890s and into the early 1900s. There still is a community there in Umatilla around Pendleton, Oregon, and again up in Colville, and somewhat struggling, as most First Nations are today, to find freedom, uh, the right for their own education, culture, and language and spiritual traditions to be reignited and re-indigenized, is the word I like to use, as you know. And it will happen and it will work. We are in the time of the great tipping point and turning point when the true values of what it means to be a human, a true human being, an open-hearted, true-hearted human being, is coming back to the consciousness of all the First Nations on Turtle Island and worldwide, and the non-natives worldwide. And I'm sure those of you there in the UK and Belgium and Holland and Europe who are watching this video, and also I know I have some friends there in India and Asia and New Zealand, and a big shout out to the Maori there and the Australian Aborigines, my friends in Australia, and of course Central and South America. All the First Nations are coming to a consciousness and re-indigenizing our values, our worldview, our culture, and educating our friends and non-native friends as well. It said when the doctor looked at Chief Joseph as he passed into spirit in September 21st, 1904, that he died of a broken heart, and this is correct. When you've seen your whole culture and your whole people die, not just physically, but spiritually most of all, and culturally, and realize that tens of thousands of years of uh, healthy living and directed by the Creator having given the Nez Perce that land there in the northwestern quadrant of what's now America, and been given the salmon and all the animals and the deer and so on, and the forests of the aspen groves and so on, that to see that way of life come to an end obviously is the end of a big long cycle of a 10,000 year cycle. Nevertheless, the good news is that the cycle continues and there's always a rebirth. There's a cultural, spiritual rebirth that comes when the spirit of the ancestors, in this case, the spirit of Chief Joseph, Hinmatoo, Yalatkit, and also the others, all the ancestors, and you may want to watch the one on Deganawida, the Mohawk Peacemaker as well, and I've done others that you might look under the spiritual masters in our YouTube videos. It is a time of rebirth. It's a time of change. It's a time of joy. It's a time to take hope. It's a time to trust. It's a time to work together as a team, as a tribe, if you like. It's a time for freedom and true democracy, and it's a time to move into the oneness of the heart, one mind, one drum, one circle, one life, one sisterhood, brotherhood, and one truth, where you speak with a truth of lightning, where it's just the one truth coming out of the mouth, not the two sides of the mouth. So, as I say, I trust that you'll be able to feel the presence of Chief Joseph in your life. You may want to look online and read a little bit more about him. He brings us great hope and patience and perseverance. And I'd like to finish this with a few words from Chief Joseph. I think that's the most important thing I can give to you and leave with you and share with you. Other than just before I start this reading, I'd like to share the words of Chief Yellow Bull, a great friend of Chief Joseph, at the ceremony in Nespelem in Washington State, where they had a ceremony for putting up his grave marker once his body was reburied there. And these are the words from Chief Yellow Bull. Chief Joseph's words are not dead. Chief Joseph's words and spirit will live forever. And there's that word forever again. Everything that's true and good and beautiful and powerful and full of righteousness and honesty and love and compassion and concern will always live forever. It's the lies that will be forgotten because they're of the darkness, and the light will always shine through the darkness at any time, in any culture, at any point on planet Earth or anywhere in the universe. Spirit provides and Spirit pervades, and Spirit protects, and Spirit will lead. Spirit will heal, and Spirit will bring us a new time and a new culture for one heart, one mind, one drum, one circle, one people, one love. Here's an image. It's an actual photo of Chief Joseph. This was taken in the late 1890s. You get a sense of his nobility and honesty and his perseverance no matter what was going on for his people and himself and his family. I'm going to read to you some of his own words, and so just prepare your hearts and open to this so you can feel this. The earth and myself are of one mind. The measure of the land and the measure of our bodies are the same. Say to us if you can, he's speaking to the white people, say it that you were sent by the creative power, the Creator, to talk to us. Perhaps you think the Creator sent you here to dispose of us as you see fit. If I thought you were sent by the Creator, I might be induced to think you had a right to dispose of me. Do not misunderstand me, but understand me fully with reference to my affection for the land. I never said the land was mine to do with as I choose. The one who has the right to dispose of it is the one who has created it. I claim the right to live on my land and accord you the privilege to live on yours. Treat all men alike. Give them all the same law, the great law of peace. Give them all an even chance to live and grow. All men were made by the Great Spirit Chief. They are all brothers and sisters. The earth is the mother of all people, and all people should have equal right upon it. You might as well expect the rivers to run backward as that any man who was born a free man should be contented, penned up, and denied liberty to go where he or she pleases. And although there are many readings I can share with you from Chief Joseph, this will be the final one for now. Let me be a free man, free to travel, free to stop, free to work, free to trade where I choose, free to choose my own teachers, free to follow the spiritual traditions of my fathers, free to think and talk and act for myself. And so I am encouraging and inspiring all of you to listen to these words and to be emboldened and excited and joyful and happy and supported and protected and guided with the wisdom of Chief Joseph and his great spirit, and the great spirit that leads us all onwards, inwards, and upwards, to be full of courage, be full of love and support and compassion, be full of kindness and respect and humility and unity, and take sincerely these words in the spirit of Chief Joseph and move forward with confidence, with freedom, with direction and guidance directly in your heart from the Great Spirit, from the source of all that is, from our Creator, our one Creator, and our one people. And so, my dear sisters and brothers, whoever you are around the world, be emboldened to take action now for your own freedom, your own self responsibility, your own self realization, and for your own self guidance. And do this with love and charity, and always act with one heart, one mind, one circle, one love, one direction. And that's inwards and onwards for the whole human populace, for all our ancestors, for all our descendants, and for all our relations, all our animal sisters and brothers, and for all the love that we can share and build this great new world. Om Namah Shivaya, Skana Goa, as we say, the peace is great.